All right, let's begin with a roll call.
Mr. Gary Libby,
Here.
Mr. Robert Ellis,
Here.
Mr. Gary Koleopoulos, Mr. Vernon Weatherholt,
Here.
Miss Helen Humphreys, Miss Amy Pyle, Mr. William Bidorf,
Here.
Mr. Raymond Masson.
Here.
Excellent.
All right, now that we have that done, let's all stand and do our Pledge of Allegiance.
The clerk second.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
All right, now we're going to go to approval of our previous meetings minutes. It appears that we have two here, one for June 12th and one for August 14th.
I'll move approval of the June 12th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving our June 12th meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, that's approved. And I'll move on to our August 14th meeting approval. Do we have a motion?
Also move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, we'll move forward.
And could I mention, the minutes were terrific. That was a tough meeting to do minutes for, and I salute you. You got the kernels of everything that was going on, and very, very well done. Thank you. She did a great job.
Do we have a police report for, let's go, can we go ahead and get that out of the way before we do staff and everything? You guys good with that? Why don't you come on up?
He's a good cop.
Hello.
Hello.
You haven't met me. I'm Lieutenant Burns. I cover the District 2, the east side, for Daytona Beach Police Department. For the last 2 weeks, we've had 1,774 calls, 315 reports, 44 felony arrests, 93 misdemeanor arrests, 412 traffic stops, 323 citations from those traffic stops, 355 field interview cards, and 42 courtesy cards, 29 towed vehicles, 43 vehicle crashes, 3 were DUI arrests, 24 city ordinance violations, and 19 arrests for trespassing or park rule violations. 24 arrests were made for domestic-related offenses in our district. There were 4 aggravated assault incidents, all of which were cleared by arrest. There were 5 burglaries, 3 of which were cleared by arrest, 4 car breaks, and 1 of those was cleared by arrest. 3 stolen vehicles, 1 of those was recovered. And there were no robberies last 2 weeks. So that's really good. We have officers that continue to check under the bridges and through the city parks. And we did 32 arrests for that. In Jackie Robinson, we've been focusing there, and there were 11 arrests made there. And every weekend, we hire overtime for the Seabreeze corridor, the bar area. And during this time, we had 37 calls, 5 reports, 94 traffic stops, 77 citations, 10 parking violations, 3 felony arrests. Actually, one of those resulted, I think, in 2 recovered guns, 15 grams of cocaine, and 13 grams of marijuana. And that was one of our sergeants that was on overtime over there. So that was a really good one. We had that felony arrest. We also picked up, one of our detectives also picked up a wanted person who is a violent criminal, picked him up on Seabreeze as well. I think that might have been 2 weekends ago. So they're really active out there on the weekends, and hopefully we're making some kind of difference out there. So we're right now planning, or at least preparing for, a possible Trucktober event, and then Biketoberfest.
Is that sanctioned?
The Trucktoberfest?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
So
It's
how do
it's just
you-
a potential one. We're not sure
Oh,
because of past times. We're just kind of planning for it in case it pops up.
Who covers that? Volusia County? The sheriffs?
No.
No, we
On
do.
the beach,
Oh, on the beach is the sheriff's,
Okay.
yes. Up on land is us.
even if it's not sanctioned, they will,
Yeah,
they
the sheriff,
just patrol as normal then?
as
correct?
soon as the sheriff puts out that warning now, how they can have their trucks, like if it's an event, a pop-up event where everything is enhanced, it usually stops it from happening. So
Absolutely.
That'll probably happen in this one, hopefully.
Thank you.
From what I've seen, Seabreeze has had a very positive impact since, kudos to the
Great.
police department, doing a great job.
Yes.
I think that the cameras are helping a lot because it's really on the minds of the criminals. They've actually complained about it. I run a sober house in Pearson. Also, and they're complaining about I don't want to sell drugs in Daytona because they got cameras. That's great. Go somewhere else.
I have to tell you, those cameras, from my perspective, are
Great idea.
fantastic. Whosever idea that was, it was
Ken
amazing.
Our commissioner.
Ken
We
Strickland.
had,
Ken
yeah,
Strickland.
we had a potential situation over on the west side still being
love it.
investigated, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but it started over on Seabreeze, and we were able to track, because of the cameras, we can track the person's every movement and identify, and then we have other things that we can focus on to identify people. So those cameras are amazing.
What I'm trying to do on and kudos on South Grandview because there was a major problem. Everybody was parking in front of and
Yes.
that got taken care of, and it's going to slow down a little bit because I'm working along with the city. I'm putting cameras up there on South Grandview
Yes,
and
sir.
across East ISB, so that way I don't know how I get those to the police department. We'll have to figure that out.
It's great. It's great. Those cameras are doing
Oh, it
amazing
saves
things.
lives. It
Yes.
really does.
Yes.
And I want to commend you. We have cameras all over my business. We have no problems, but at night, one night, we did have a group that moved in and thought they could just live there.
Yes, ma'am.
And I called them and came immediately.
I love that.
Very nicely, but moved. the
I love
crowd.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was fast.
Does anybody else have any other questions, comments? No?
All righty.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Great
having
job.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, now we have a commercial property improvement funding request for, is this for 615 Main Street or 614? Because I saw both.
615.
615? Okay,
And 614.
both. Okay, that's what I thought. Just wasn't sure.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, Mr. Koliopoulos is present.
Yep, he sure is.
Good evening. I'm Angela Armstrong, Project Manager for the Main Street and South Atlantic CRA, and tonight I'm going to present item number 6, which is the commercial property improvement funding request for 615 Main Street. Mr. Tom Guest, applicant and owner representative, is requesting the redevelopment board to approve the request for funding through the 0% interest loan commercial improvement incentive program. The property is located at 615 Main Street between White Olive and South Oleander Street. Review of and the decision on the commercial incentive application shall be based on the following preconditions. Is it a conforming use? The subject property is in the RDV2 Redevelopment Beachside Specialty Retail zoning district, which allows retail sales and services as a principal use. This property is a conforming use within the zoning district. Does the property have any delinquent ad valorem taxes or municipal or county liens? Staff has not found any delinquent ad valorem taxes or county liens on this property. How the project will contribute to the elimination or prevention of slum and blight. This subject property is in one of our core areas. The applicant is proposing the replacement of all 34 or 39 windows to bring the building into compliance. And this is a picture of the building. As you can see, the windows have been never changed. And, it's causing, every time it rains, it has leaking through the window, so they need to change it. This is another side of the building. Those are the windows that needs to be changed.
These will all be impact windows, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's nice.
If staff recommends approval of the commercial improvement grant for 615 Main Street in the amount not to exceed $50,000. A majority vote by the Beachside Redevelopment Board members present and voting is required to recommend approval to the City Commission. The applicant is here. If you have any questions, you can. I know that we have on the pipeline more improvement to this building. This is the first one because it's most needed on the building.
That was going to be my first question.
Yeah.
I answered that then.
Do you know, is there going to be central HVAC, or after the windows go in, are they going to be open with window shakers?
Your guess?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city staff, I'm Tom Guest, and I'm the manager of this building, which is actually legally 614 Main Street.
Right.
Okay. That's what I thought.
The windows are going in all upstairs, which is, the address is 616 Main Street. I don't know where 615 came from, but that's across the street in the city parking lot, in the county parking lot.
Okay.
Okay, now what was the question?
Are you guys going to put HVAC upstairs, central HVAC, or is it going to be the window units in every window?
It's going to be window units.
Window units. Are
Yeah, it's
are you
just-
guys finding that when the rain comes through, you're having a lot of leaks through where the window units are too?
No.
No?
No, these windows, I've been an occupant of that building since 1985.
Okay.
Windows have not been changed before I came into the building.
Been a while.
And, they're in really, really bad shape. We have done a lot of repairs, a lot of patching on these windows over the past years that I've managed the property. And it's gotten to the point where they've just got to be replaced. And it will, it's going to be all white vinyl. So it's going to improve the
Aesthetics.
aesthetics of the building and the area, because they're going to match I've got sliding glass doors, which are white vinyl down on the first floor. So it's going to match very nicely, and the pictures don't show it, but if you get over close and you look at these windows, they're almost as old as I am.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Tom, what are the uses upstairs? What will the
Apartments.
spaces be used for?
There's 11 apartments
Oh,
upstairs.
they're apartments.
Okay.
11.
And
Wow.
downstairs, there are businesses
There's
downstairs.
five business locations, 5 stores.
Okay. Okay. Which 5 stores are downstairs?
Well, you've
I
got-
just can't think off the top of my head. I know I'm right in the corner, but I'm stuck
Okay,
in one
you've got,
chair all day.
well, starting at 608, you've got Cigar Guy, 610, you've got a leather merchant, 612 is silver jewelry,
Okay.
614 is,
Yeah.
I forget the name of the business,
Yeah,
but it's paintings that they
I know
play-
the block you're talking
that they
about.
play music out of, T-shirts on the corner.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions for Mr. Guest?
Are there people living in the apartment?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I have one vacant one right now. But for the most part, I keep them pretty much occupied.
They've stayed rented over the years. They really have.
So, hi, Tom. So my question is about, you mentioned there were other improvements going to be happening to this building. Is there other grant money available, say, for the awning and some of the things going on downstairs? I mean, I know
The-
this is 2 different things, but I'm just
You
wondering.
asking me or you asking?
Well,
I can.
Okay.
I'm wondering, because looking at it, I mean, to me, it would be nice to have a new awning there as far as the Main Street streetscape. And then also, I would talk about show windows, what's going on in the show windows, which you might have some influence since these are your tenants. We could, I just kind of
Yeah,
wonder what you
we've
thought
been-
about that.
the business owner are entitled to apply for the grant. So we change the owning, and one of their tenants already has the application, so we can
Oh, great, great.
improve it.
Excellent. So that'll be more improvements to the building. That's good to hear. And then I mean, because I have to ask, because we've been discussing the storefront views of buildings that aren't used except during biker events. You know, we've been discussing options for, you know, some, like, it would be beautification to have windows either have some sort of, you know, I don't know if it's called a wrap or a, you know, they make these kind of decal things that look attractive, like instead of just the white paper, for example. Now, this doesn't really have anything to do with the grant, and I wouldn't, like, I'm not going to vote against the grant in any way, but if you have influence with your tenants that are in those, you know, as far as your leases and so on, is there any way to kind of step up the game as far as what we see from the street?
I believe there is,
That's all
and there
I
was something, I mean, the city, many years ago, I remember the city did this. The city had a plan, and if you wanted to order them from the city would make some of these different screens, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them, appliques, so that you could actually see out of them, but you couldn't see in.
Right.
You know.
And it could have something decorative on it?
Yes,
that-
they had all kinds of different scenes, you know, beach scenes, mountain scenes.
So you kind of like that idea, that,
Yes,
yeah, okay,
absolutely.
all right, thanks. Because it's something we've been sort of thinking about.
Smart idea.
Thanks.
All right. Anybody else?
Oh, I just was curious, who owns the building then?
It's Nesco
No.
Associates LLC. It's a couple of people from Winter Park.
Okay.
They bought it in 2010. I started managing. I was in there, had a retail business, which I retired about that time. I became manager of the building a couple of years before that. And when they bought the building, they said they were interested in buying it, but only if I came with it. That was their exact statement at the time. So here I am.
What a deal. All right, well, we have to wait on Mr. Libby to get back here. Thank you. We'll move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, while we're waiting, I mean, I feel like we've mentioned it. I guess I've thought about it so much, sometimes I forget whether we've talked about it. But you know, the screens that he's talking about, it's kind of like a pierced decal, you know. that-
Perforated ones?
A perforated one that, you know, could have, you know, if there was some oversight of what went on them, and it wasn't just arbitrary, you know, I think I think it's something I might have put in my suggestions, now that I think about it, so we'll probably get to that. Anyway, I'm done.
What item number is this, John? This item number? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll have public comment. John Nicholson?
John Nicholson, 413 North Grand Avenue. The picture that they showed, you look at the awning on that corner building, could it be repainted? I mean, given the fact that we're giving this loan and it's to enhance the building, that takes away from everything on the building. And secondly, the, what do they call it? There's a name for it now. The painting on the side.
The mural.
The mural. Is there a time frame? Because I know we allowed it years ago. It's getting kind of faded. And there's another one down the street also getting faded. Is there a time frame on refreshing the murals?
I think the one down the street got repainted already, John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
one-
did, for sure.
Yeah.
The one down the street did. I don't believe.
Did you, Humphrey, did you
Yeah, go
repaint
ahead.
yours?
I believe Tom's going to answer
I
you
have
on that
a,
one.
an application because I'm having the whole thing redone.
There's
Okay.
one on the corner of the building I'm in as well. that got-
Yeah,
having a
around the
new-
corner, yes. Because I didn't know whether we had a rule in it when we okay it. Because we did that 40 years ago with the light bulb, Gary, you will remember, light bulbs and the fluorescents and whatnot, that we got rid of them because they weren't being changed and whatnot. So I'm wondering if we did that. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And as Ms. Armstrong stated, the tenant in the corner of the building, in the corner shop, has already put in an application to replace the awning. Not just repair it, replace it. Because I put that awning up there back in the 90s. It's been replaced several times, but it's, right now, we used to be able to make them with canvas. City won't allow that anymore. You gotta be made with vinyl. Vinyl does not last over there. Vinyl will not last on the beach side, so that's only, I mean, looking at the awning, it's deplorable. It's only 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And we've cleaned it many, many times. You know, and as far as the mural on the end of the building, I've been speaking with several different people to get it repainted. I also put that on the building back in the 90s, and it has been redone, I think, 4 times since then. 'Cause, you know, the paint just...
The weather's harsh beachside. They don't last long. Yeah, gotta redo
So
it.
anyways, yeah, those are things that we
It's in
are
the
going
works.
to we are taking care of.
Okay. Thank you for answering that, Tom.
Last comment. Tom, are you aware that Main Street is a National Register of Historic Districts location? Not local, but national?
I've heard rumors about
Well,
that. I don't,
well, the rumors are true.
I don't know exactly.
And the only reason, and I'm very glad you're doing what you're doing, and I think the program is excellent, because we're in a little bit of a conundrum there when it did not go forward for local designation, because with local designation would come all kinds of requirements, design standards, and the kinds of windows and things like that. We had a commission that we had like 3 or 4 local historic districts in a row, and the city was getting, you know, right up to here with history, unfortunately.
Right.
So I salute you're doing this and taking advantage of this program. I'm very glad we have this program. I think it's an excellent one. It'll get these buildings up to a standard now that make the rents, you know, more rentable, the physical spaces better, the income better for these properties, and therefore the street better as well. So thanks very much.
We're doing whatever we can down there. And the windows are triple pane.
Yeah.
Okay, with the outside hurricane and double pane in between with the gas in between it to maintain heat and cooling.
Those are the best ones. Those are
Absolutely.
the best ones. Thank you, Tom. All
I
right.
apologize for running out. I got a silent alarm. Somebody was trying to get into my car. So I went down and checked it, and we're fine. It's everything. They couldn't get in, luckily.
All right.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, we approve this.
That's what I was just going for. Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
We have 2 seconds there. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, are approved. 615 Main Street.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you. All right, got that. Now,
Staff.
we're moving on to a board discussion on Beachside Neighborhood Watch.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, there was an update to the resolution, and I provided you on your packet. And it's open to board discussion if you have any suggestions, so.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Is it a presentation? Are they asking for anything? Is there any motion involved in it? Is this the presentation before the commission to alter landscaping? I mean, what is?
It's for the beachside plants, yes. It's the resolution that you already had, that you discussed. It was an update on August 1st. So
With the-
yeah, I provided you with the updated,
Okay.
so you can have it. And
With
we
the-
have Ms. Ann Ruby here that can talk about that.
Could we have a brief presentation? I think it's warranted.
Who's the chair here? Are you taking
We were
over?
asking,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Karen.
Everyone
Yeah.
can speak. Everyone can speak. It's open. It's a board discussion. Do you guys feel like we need a presentation on this? or-
Clarify.
Yeah, I feel like a
Introduce-
presentation to clarify would help as
done.
well. Just a little introduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ann Ruby, 136 Park Avenue. I'm chairman of the Beachside Neighborhood Watch. We have several Beachside Neighborhood Watch Board of Director members here, including Mr. Weatherholtz. We had originally brought before you the one that we passed September 7th, 2023, and there were a lot of questions raised about that. Well, was there scientific evidence? Do a study, find out what else is happening. we weren't actually ever proposing a direct change to the LDC. We're not proposing that this be put on requirements, put on residential properties. So on August 1st of this year, B&W passed a companion resolution. So there's two resolutions. The companion resolution reads, in September 2023, B&W presented the City Commission with the attached resolution on the use of non-functional turf grass. The resolution was received with much head nodding on the Commission, but no action. B&W has passed this second resolution asking the Beachside Redevelopment Board and the Planning Board to urge the City Commission to take action to instruct city staff to use the intentions of the original B&W resolution as a springboard to examine what changes could be made citywide to our LDC and development standards to encourage increased use of native plants and a decreased use of non-functional turf grass on city properties and new commercial developments. Additionally, B&W would like to see the City Commission develop a resolution similar to ours that they would pass on to the state and the county. Neither resolution is a direct proposed change to the LDC. Neither resolution is intended to impose new standards on residential properties. Passage of this second resolution is intended to spur the Commission to take action, the instruction to city staff for the examination of what changes could be made citywide to our LDC and development standards to encourage increased use of native plants and a decreased use of non-functional turf grass on city properties and new commercial developments. So that's kind of what we put on top of the resolution we first passed, because we wanted to make sure that it was clear what we were asking. The City Commission seemed like they really wanted to support what we were asking for. You know, if we can get different standards in place and get different ways of using plants, we can save the city money, we can save the environment, we can help create a more appropriate looking beachside. And we're just asking, we would like B&W board support, planning board support, to ask the commission to ask staff to examine these standards, and can they be updated to include these efforts? Yes.
I was going to say, I went down to Port Orange on the Dunlawton Bridge Road. There is a very, very low growing with tiny white flowers all along there. It looks beautiful. And when you look on International Speedway, right at the 7-Eleven, where they've dug up, that same plant has come up by itself.
Right.
I want to find the name of it. I've got it on my camera. It is wonderful, and it only grows this high, so you don't have to spray it. You don't have to water
Right.
it. In the terrible conditions, it is spreading and looks wonderful. So why put grass there?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Why put grass there?
I want to put it in my front yard.
So my question to you is, do you need us to vote and say we like this, or do we need to send a representative to the City Commission
We're
to
just
explain
asking
that we like it?
we're just asking that you vote to say, we, the Beachside Redevelopment Board, would like to see you look at these standards again.
Well, I'll
I
make
was
I'll
just
make
going to
that
say,
motion.
Well,
maybe
Second.
I'll
Let's have
second.
some more discussion if we could.
Well,
I'd like to make a motion.
yeah, and I second.
Yeah, let's see if everyone has any quick questions
Yeah.
about it, and then we'll discuss and make a motion. I agree. Do either of you have any questions?
I'm 150% for it. It's a no-brainer. It's going to save money. When you're talking about you're cutting down expenses in a business, I'm just a businessman. If you can cut down my overhead, and this is our city, I want to cut the city's overhead down, and it does it, and it does it efficiently.
Yeah.
I'm for it. No
Yeah.
questions.
I got a question.
I personally want to know what those white flowers are, because I want to put them on my lawn.
Reverse
Yeah.
image search.
Yes.
Reverse image search. Take
Yes.
a picture and reverse image
I
search
have
it.
it, yes.
Jenny just said it's
Florida Bettany.
Florida Bettany.
Okay.
Laura
there she
DeBettany?
I'll come to your shop.
Okay.
And
I
I've
wanna
got
get
I've got a
some.
question, Ann.
Sure.
Was the original proposal for the beachside, and now this is a citywide proposal? That might be why the commission sort of could be in favor of it, but you just said citywide.
Well, the original proposal came from Beachside Neighborhood Watch.
Right.
And we were originally just wanting to encourage it on the beach side.
Correct.
But then as we, and some of the objections you had raised, decided to do the kind of a clarifying purpose of it, that it really should be something that's addressed citywide. So, you know, it's kind of like the staff, we're just asking them to ask the staff to look at this.
Yeah. I think it makes sense citywide, where it
Right.
makes somewhat sense for the beach side, but we either do it or we don't. I
Correct.
think. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
It'd be nice to have some pictures.
I
an
have 'em.
idea of what this looks like exactly.
I should-
Because I tried a little experiment like that on my own property, and in between those pretty flowers, you get lots of weeds.
Yeah.
And weeds are a big problem, and you're gonna have to pay a team of people just to pick the weeds in between those pretty flowers.
Well,
We can't maintain what we have now.
Well, my entire yard, I have zero grass.
Yeah.
My entire yard is native plants.
Yeah.
And when it's dry, it browns out, but then as soon as it rains, it comes back and it's gorgeous.
But I
And, yes,
I understand from this, the amended or the additional language, that this isn't superseding anything. This is in addition to what we already allow for landscaping.
it's asking them to examine what they are allowing. You know, sometimes they'll say they'll list trees or a type of plant that should be planted, and they're not necessarily including natives, or not, you know, there's natives they could use instead of, so we're just asking
You
them to
just
kind
want
of.
them to look at it
We
and
just want them
have
to
the
look at this.
option to
May I
put
show
Correct.
you?
natives in.
There it is.
Is that the Bettany?
That's it. At all the
I got those in my yard.
construction work that's going on. It's
Yeah.
just doing beautifully all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything to that.
And was there any mention about the cost of doing a project like this? Because if it is citywide, I could see where, I mean, I'm not saying that cost is any part of it, but it is a factor.
I could answer.
It's not asking if there's turf grass out there already. It's not saying rip up the turf grass and do something else. It's that if, like when they're going to do they're going to do new
It's asking for
A1A,
allowable uses in future
and they're
projects.
going to do new A1A. Let's have the city make sure that some of those plantings are not turf grass, that there
Yes.
are other alternatives that can be examined.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
I could add one thing, just one thing.
Climate appropriate things.
Right.
Just one thing. I think it would cut expenses down tremendously. On Grandview, I haven't had grass in front that's living, you know, anytime. So the natural habitat is really meant to be there. It's grass is just not meant to live. I can water it, I can do all these things. I just can't get it to live. And then you have on East ISB, before they did the road construction, most of that grass was dying and didn't look good. So maybe this is a very good solution that's going to be cheaper in the long run, because after so many years, how long does that turf grass last? 5 years out in the sun?
Maybe.
Before it withers, and then 5 years we're doing it again.
And you have to mow it and you have to spray it, so.
No, I'm talking, I was talking the artificial grass. If they put it in, you got to remember that heat's coming down, and you got to think of this sun. You know, doing it up north is one thing. Doing it here in Florida on the beach is another. It's gonna fade.
Not sure.
Good thought. Sorry.
So one of the issues that they will have to broach is that you have to have an educated or re-educated landscaping team, because as Mr. Koliopoulos said, you know, you have these beautiful little white flowers here and little yellow flowers here, and weeds come up in the middle. Well, if you don't know what that is, that weed could turn into a beautiful little low-growing flower. But if you don't know what it is, so, you know, one of the challenges, I'm not opposed to this at all, but, you know, they have to be willing to look at that as well, because you can't just send your weed eat guys out to a lawn like this, because I have a lawn like this. I let everything grow, and if I see something that is too bushy or unattractive or has stickers on it, I pull them out.
Yeah.
And I let everything else grow, and I have lots of beautiful flowers, butterflies, bees, and everything. So that's kind of
Right.
what we're hoping to go for, so.
Might be nice to get a landscape expert's opinion on.
Yes, and a landscape expert that is not
Sure.
just into, making it look like carpet.
Yeah, I mean, you want it to look appealing.
Yes.
Because that's
Yes.
Right, but
the
I
main
think,
problem
but that would
with
be,
Daytona.
that would be something that we would want to have,
Yeah.
staff feels they need to do that, then,
Yeah.
but just let's get this kind of presented to them as something that we should, because the commission, when we presented our initial one, was all like, oh, yeah, that sounds good, and then poof, next item of business.
Yeah, but we could
So-
do the legwork for them and have a.
Well, we have Jenny.
Yeah.
Get it presented first.
Well, there's also,
Well, I was just going to say, the first picture that I sent down is what just came up by itself, even though they have been digging up and digging up. But this other long one is the Port Orange Bridge, all along, all the way up to the ocean, and it is growing beautifully.
Right.
Saying, I think, you want it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyhow, I think if, we're just asking that you pass this so we can get it before planning board, we can get it before the commission, so that we can ask the commission to please ask staff to look into this.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I also agree
All
that
right,
it's,
so this is I think this makes great sense.
Okay, good.
agree.
I'm glad.
Do they
and,
grow?
and
You want to come
also,
back up on this, Ann? Because
What?
I've got you for public comment here.
Because
No.
I-
also from an environmental point of view, I
right, we
believe
had
this
a-
is
we
much
had
better
a-
for the environment than
We
grass
had a
because you have to
blatant
spray all the
motion over-
poisons.
That's right,
Amy?
So that's a big point right now.
Yeah.
that's right.
And this is not
All right.
grass in between, that is part of the plant.
Planting.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We're going to move on to public comment on this. John Nicholson, come on up.
That's what I want.
Thank you, Jenny.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. When Jenny first proposed this, I thought, well, yeah, it's a good idea because we are a beach town. And unfortunately, we were founded by Yankees. So all of our landscape looks like New England, it looks like New Jersey, and we're not New England. We're not New Jersey. We're Florida.
Hey, I'm still a
Right.
Yankee.
I'm a Yankee.
But you still, when you built your houses, the landscape at the time, Helen, please let me finish. Don't interrupt.
I'm
Okay.
not doing anything.
At the time when they came down, we now continue that landscape. We have a lot of the podosporum and whatnot that are from up north that have to be trimmed, et cetera, et cetera. It takes staffing, all right? Staffing has become extremely expensive. I don't know if you've driven past McDonald's, starting at $17 an hour. California's, I think, up $20, $25 an hour. When you do that, it's not only what you're paying now, but when they retire, it's what you pay for the rest of their lives, all right? So 40 years of somebody sitting on their butt making $20 an hour is going to be expensive in the future. So when you design this, we had a problem with A1A, all right? And I've been to like Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge now had to be redone because the plants they put in didn't last. A1A, the plants they put in didn't last 7 times. City Island, they put landscaping around the walkway, didn't last. A1A and ISB, they put landscaping on those 2 corners, except for the big trees, all the landscaping is gone, all right? So when you replace all of these things, if you could put in the grasses and the natives that don't need to be watered, they don't need to be cared for, like the grasses, you cut them once a year. That's it. Take away the foliage, and it grows back, and everybody's happy. So generally, there is no staffing cost, or it goes down drastically. Watering costs go down drastically because there is a problem with water in the future. I know staffing says, oh, no, there's no problem. We got plenty of water. No. That's what Las Vegas thought. There isn't plenty of water. So I'm asking you to definitely push this, not just for Jenny, not just for the Beachside Neighborhood Watch, but for the CRA area, because we do want to be unique. We want to be different than Miami. We want to be different than Jacksonville. We want to be a beach town. And we're overbuilding, that's true. And the more we build, the less we look like a small beach town. The only way we can hope to recoup that is through our landscaping and our design. Thank you.
John,
Yeah.
I agree with you totally. And really what makes the city so great is the residents who want to come here and speak like yourself. And that's something I wanted to thank you for, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
The girls as well.
And I was
Thanks,
just
John.
going to point that we have people that have already been saying just that same thing. Yep.
Jenny Nazak? Come on up.
Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey Avenue. As in the profession of permaculture, which is a design system for creating sustainable human environments, that's a mouthful, but it's where we have the human environment and we're working with nature instead of against nature. So now, plants, right? They look pretty, they can be nice. They're also green infrastructure. They are sucking up stormwater big time. They are supporting the pollinators without whom we shall die.
Yes.
Like, this is not some cute, like some people think environmentalism is still a cute hobby. It ain't cute. Like, we're into survival here. But things like the floodwaters and things like that, very, very important. And also to not be using too much water, all that, to be conserving the fresh, potable water that we do have. So it all kind of, I like it when things all point in the same direction, and I'm also hardcore fiscal conservative. I can't stand waste. When I hear things being, like trees being cut unnecessarily, there's like the soft environmental part of me, but there's also the hardcore, like fiscal conservative, like just stop it, man. It's going on, like, but I don't cut costs to just save a pile of money and hoard a pile of money. No, I cut costs because money needs to be deployed to other necessary situations all over our city. Like, for example, I think every bus stop needs shade, for example, like needs some kind of shelter, because people are gonna be getting heat stroke. Yeah. Things like that. So in many areas throughout our beautiful city where we have real human needs that are not being adequately addressed, every single penny we can save on unnecessary maintenance of high maintenance landscaping is awesome. And then plus, as John and others have pointed out, it gives us this beautiful identity. Mother Nature gives us free, unique local beauty. Like, she's like a free marketing agency. And okay, so the plant, Helen, there's a couple of plants that have that carpet aspect that are whitish or light purple flowers. That particular one is known as Mexican clover,
Correct.
the Latin name Richardia scabra, and I believe that would qualify as a Florida friendly. This gets kind of technical, but there's like native and there's Florida friendly. They all get along nicely. They are drought tolerant. They are flood tolerant. They don't need chemicals. They get their own water. So they're our friends.
Yeah.
And if a person chooses, like a person can mow their yard on a schedule, and on the beach side, if a yard's not being chemically treated and has not been overlaid with the smothering carpet of sawgrass, you will get a default. The default would be a multi-carpet of, it can be 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 types of flowers, and they do a growth habit. So if you're the type of person who likes to mow their yard, a couple times a month in the dry season and, once a week or so in the wet season, then that carpet will be that height. Actually, Ms. Sandy Murphy has a classic yard that is called the Florida native plant expert. Her name is Ginny Steibolt, and she's the definitive source on Florida native plants.
Oh, good.
She talks about a thing called a freedom lawn. That is a lawn that needs no chemicals and is just a carpet of all the Florida natives.
Yeah.
Now, there is one plant that is very reviled by the turfgrass industry. It is called dollarweed.
Oh.
We are trained to hate it.
Yeah.
It is in fact a Florida native. It is. And it is a pollinator support. It actually has a small flower and supports pollinators, and it's actually edible. I mean, it's not the yummiest thing in the world, but if you're desperate, eat it. Yes.
One question, because is there certain plants or things we can plant that will help us more with flood mitigation more than other plants?
Some plants are thirstier than others.
Is there a study done on that? Is it?
Yeah,
so
the
things
answer is no, by the way.
Where there is,
There is-
like, for example, on the Florida Native Plant Society website, they have a very large catalog of the water characteristics, like how much water does it use? What does it like? Does it like wet feet?
Oh, wow.
There are certain plants. Now, in my yard, I have a clumping, non-invasive bamboo that sucks up stormwater. I have elderberry, which is a wonderful immune tonic and makes really tasty jelly, and that sucks up stormwater. So there's lots of different plants.
What kind of bamboo is it again?
It's I don't remember the name of the species. I've got to look it up.
I would
It's a
love to plant
clumping-
that.
It's a clumping, non-invasive bamboo, so it clumps and it doesn't just like spread out like this.
Please let me know.
Yeah, there's lots of thirsty plants, like cypress plants are thirsty. Like around a pond on the mainland, you might see some cypress plants. The trees, that's a giant stormwater pump. And like oak trees, it's a giant stormwater
Yeah.
pump.
Okay.
I,
You get the point.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
actually, I wanted to speak
Go ahead,
something.
Ellen.
On National Public Radio, just recently, I heard where indigenous people used to use a particular kind of grass to weave. You could actually put water in their basket. They are now in the process of planting along waterways that particular type of, it's bamboo, a type of bamboo grass, and that they now know does an incredible job of holding soil, protecting against floods and things. So I wish I had listened more
Oh,
carefully.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
But they're actually planting, and you can order pieces of it to plant in areas to help hold the soil.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Good to know if you think of it. Yeah, let me know. And then healthy soil in general absorbs stormwater better.
Yes.
So if we're not spraying chemicals in the soil, then the soil food web of all the microbes, that it holds more stormwater.
Yeah.
I believe we have another question.
Yes.
Well, Jenny's been at my backyard. I'm a past beekeeper,
Bee heaven.
and I have all native plants in the back there. I do have an irrigation system, but I don't use it often. My favorite is periwinkles.
Yes.
I'm a periwinkle guy. They come up, they keep coming up, and it's something like that. You don't have to water them. They're about as native as you can get here.
Yeah.
Vernon, is that a grass or a plant?
No, it's a flower.
It's a flower. Yeah, it's a flower.
They grow about 18 inches
Pink
high.
and white and all the.
South Florida's loaded with.
Oh, absolutely.
Fort Myers.
They're in the Keys. That was
Yeah.
my whole yard. But anyways, I just put that in, and I've added native trees. And I think that one of the areas it's can really be is the new buildings, new hotels down along the beach. Everybody wants to put palm trees.
Oh, I know they.
You know,
die.
palm tree's not a native plant.
No.
But using the native trees and plants that grow, they're salt tolerant, you don't have to take care of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the area, some of the bare areas along the beach, we was just talking about that in the commission meeting. There's areas that's privately owned, it's just bare. They don't do anything, they don't maintain it and everything, and this would be a prime example for the city to have that in those areas. They don't need a lot of care and everything, have native plants in there and to make it look nice, because the boardwalk, one of the issues we're gonna talk about tonight, is one of the worst places in Daytona Beach. Right now, it's past being so, just putting that in comments.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Everybody good? All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jenny. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve here?
Oh, we had.
I'll make a motion to
We
approve.
already had it seconded.
Well, it came out early before the.
I'd like to make a motion
again.
to approve this resolution.
And I
Second?
seconded, yes.
All right. All those in favor of the B&W resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none? Passed. All right.
Yes, thank you for persevering.
Now we're moving on to our Beachside Redevelopment priority list. Everybody have that? Let me see. I'm finally going to see. I think it's in our original. Yeah, I got one of those as well.
Mr. Chair, Ken Thomas, Redevelopment Director. Jenny needs her own radio show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would recommend that.
Yes.
I learned a lot already just listening tonight. Excellent. So, Mr. Chair, board members, advisory board members, as you know, you were appointed by your mayor and your city commission to be part of this advisory board and to help implement or help city staff and help advise the mayor and the city commission, help city staff to implement the redevelopment plan for Main Street and South Atlantic. As you know, the plans were created back in 1982 and 2001, respectively. Main Street was 1982, and the South Atlantic was 2001. 2008, both plans were amended. In 2011, the Main Street plan was amended to incorporate some of the goals and objectives of the E-zone master plan. So throughout the years, this plan has been in place for quite a long time, but not recently updated. What it's been 14 years since, 13 years since any of the plans have been re-looked at. And so it is a good thing that we've been talking throughout our meetings every month about, what our priorities are. And so with you all, your recommendation to let's establish a priority list, and we received over the last couple of weeks now since we last met a number of issues and concerns that have been given to staff regarding the Main Street and the South Atlantic CRA. In your packets, and you should have 11 by 17 of all of the issues and concerns that were given to us. And so tonight, what we want to do is go over those issues and concerns. And I don't want to, belabor this, but I think it's important that we at least go through each and every one of them. It's only 18. Yeah. It's 18 of them. But I think it's important that we go through each one of them and make sure that everyone understands what that particular issue represents. And if you have any questions, staff will try to answer them. The respective advisory board members know who you are. They recognize their information that was given to us. So if we don't correctly establish what you intended, please feel free to correct us tonight. In addition to it, the ones who were not able to send in anything, you will have an opportunity to add to our list. So what I want to do tonight is just start with what we've been given. I also want to indicate that you have about 6 dots on your dais there that I will, after the presentation is made, we want you to take those 6 dots and we want you to put those dots on the areas, the issues and concerns that are most important to you. Yeah. Now, with the 6, if there's one issue out of the 18 that we have, you can take all 6 dots and put it on that one issue. You can. It's up to you. Yeah. But if you have multiple issues,
Yeah, we have more dots.
we don't want to give you more dots, but you can take those 6 dots and subdivide them and put 2 on one issue and maybe 3 on another issue, and you got 1 left. It is up to you, but I think 6 dots out of 18 issues that we have established here tonight is enough. And what staff would do afterwards is we're going to take all your indication with the dots, and we're going to come back to you at the next meeting and give you the results of it. Matter of fact, you'll probably have the results before the next meeting because we're going to categorize them into subgroups. And so you'll have all this information so that when we come back our next meeting, we can have a full discussion about what everyone has indicated.
And if you could, please put your names on your sheets.
Yeah. Ken, there are about 4 areas in which all of these fit too.
Well, yeah, I mean, sort of. So some of them are they correlate. Yeah. But we didn't want to join the ones that we knew correlated because, again, it's important that the individual advisor board member had their items listed, and we want to do that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
After the
Yeah.
listing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if after the dots are done,
Mhm.
you could stick those things on a board and we see where the distribution is, because I know that exterior, the look of both of these areas are the big, or.
We thought about that, Mr. Libby, but I don't have 20/20 vision, so if you sat up there, it would be hard for you to see them here.
Yeah.
So we just thought, hey, give you the large 11 by 17, put them on this sheet, and we'll transfer them to a one complete document that you will know how many dots were on each particular issue. Now, there is a lot. I can read every last one of them. It is a pleasure of the board how you want me to do it.
Sure.
I was intending on reading each and every one of them.
every one of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna start out with, the first one is appearance standards are critical to include a more proactive stance on code violations and appearance improvements throughout the beachside area on both public and private areas. A plan is needed to improve lighting in the Beachside Redevelopment area to help in security concerns and improving general overall appearance. Both new directional signage and specific signage for available parking areas and new parking either purchased by the city and or shared with Volusia County's current parking lots. A more complete and transparent method for funding current special events and new events utilizing Peabody and the Ocean Center to better balance the perception of the Main Street corridor and entertainment zone potential. Better communication with existing property owners and other partners concerning their responsibility as property owners and participants in the growth and future of the redevelopment area.
Number 5.
Since you all have it on your sheet, I'm just going to turn it around for the public so they have it. Okay.
Yeah, they're not, would have been helped if they were numbered too, I think, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Helped a lot.
You can figure that out.
All right, number 5. Better communication with existing property owners and other partners concerning their responsibility as property owners and participants in the growth and future of the redevelopment area. Staff plan a more proactive role with other divisions within the city to remedy the obvious problems in the general appearance of the beachside. The need for the boardwalk and Breakers Park to be renovated. The challenges of housings for rent in the Surfside Village without inspections and permits. Vacant lot along the boardwalk, which is not maintained properly, and it is an eyesore for tourists and residents with graffiti on the walls. And we did not change any of your verbiage, your grammar, we just put it out there. Parking. Create a unified appearance of user-friendly parking options throughout the CRA. Survey all available public parking on city and county property.
Well, that's just like the second one up here, the first one on parking. So, I think.
I think this
okay,
one's
well,
public and the
yeah,
other one is
no,
county
they're-
lots and city lots.
Mhm.
I think that's the difference there, Gary.
No, they both say
Did they both say
all parking.
Then you're just gonna choose one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all about parking. What I'm about to read from 11, I think this is number 11.
This is all parking.
It's all parking.
And then vacant lots is another one.
Amy, is that yours?
Yeah.
Mhm. So the first, it says survey all available public parking on city and county properties. Number 1, allow free parking or enable modern pay-per-park systems. Number 2, unify appearance with clear, attractive signage. Number 3, create a way for people to find parking via the app or Google Maps. Allow businesses to charge a fee to park in their lots, requiring a business tax receipt, BTR, and clear uniform signage. We're still on parking. Subsidize or pay churches to offer free parking, public parking in their existing parking lots. And of course, you know, churches typically have service on Sundays or on Wednesdays and mass, and so the parking lot is available many times of the week. Requiring a yearly registration with the city and clear uniform signage with times available and registration information. Identify properties that are only used as parking lots during large events. Establish maintenance and appearance standards for these properties via the Land Development Code. Text amendments including the following. So this is basically saying that we want to establish this in the Land Development Code, but we're also telling you that it would take a text amendments, which will include the following. Eliminate broken down fencing, replace with a simple attractive border, i.e. painting the post, so property remains inaccessible to vehicles when there is no active permit. Signage requirements with clear, attractive appearance that includes display of permits, visibly seen. Grass is okay, native low maintenance, landscaping borders are encouraged. Repair any paving or replace with previous surface material. Keep free of trash. Require owners register the property as a temporary event pay parking, and agree to comply with standards for participation as pay parking lots. Registration will remain active for a period of 2 years. Participation in any event will be contingent on standards being maintained year-round. Staff will perform and document at least 4 random inspections throughout the year and a site inspection when the temporary permit is granted. So basically, if you have this permit, the recommendation is that at least 4 random inspections will take place throughout the year and a site inspection when the temporary permit is granted. You have to have that permit granted to you. If violations are not cured within a period of 30 days, the property will be dropped from the registration for a period of 1 calendar year and not permitted to participate. And I'm assuming that's the following year.
Yeah, in the events.
In any events.
Yep.
Work with the county to open the Main Street and Harvey Avenue beach access to allow low tide parking and driving on the beach. Vacant lots. Now we're starting vacant lots. Survey vacant parcels in the CRA. Establish clear enforceable maintenance and appearance standards via the Land Development Code text amendments. And this is about vacant lots. Tackle the worst and most visible first. Properties at the base of the International Speedway Boulevard Bridge. At the base of the bridge, former locations of the amusement park on the boardwalk, large group of assembled properties at A1A and East ISB. Require lots to be brought up to minimum standards or take action and place a lien on the property to recoup the cost. Removing broken down fencing and remains from pre-existing structures or fixing seawalls and retaining walls.
Those are code violations. Well, you've got 2 other places where someone asks to establish and maintain code and make sure that it's not just written on a piece of paper, but we have active action in maintaining the code. So again, I think I think I agree completely with reading through the whole thing, but these, if you cut them up and put them in piles, I think you'd have probably 5 in one, 4 in another, 3 in one, and maybe 2 in another pile, because they're all dealing with, the piles are dealing with separate things.
Yeah, but, yeah, we're not doing it tonight, but I do want to point out that some of the things that are listed here is not a requirement today. These are things that we're going to have to implement. You would have to implement. The city would have to agree to implement.
Above code.
Yes, sir. Which is, a lot of it is excellent, you know, but you would have to go through the code amendment, the planning and zoning and land development code changes.
I mean, I would trust the staff to look at them and realize that there are 5 nouns that are the same in 6 of these, and those should go together, because I think, as my first paragraph or last paragraph said, I'm sure my colleagues will have, many that are similar or could be construed or solved in the same way. And so this is fine, but I'd feel better if we whittled this down into big categories, that each one had 3 or 4 of these in it, because then it makes sense. Rather than just, but we can do that. We can do that maybe at our next meeting.
Let's let it.
Okay. So city responsibilities, any property owned or controlled by lease or whatever, should be held to the highest standards for appearance. Fix broken fences and repair missing retaining walls. Public amenities such as Breakers Park, Splash Pad, Coquina Arch, and the pier should be immaculate. Both sides of the pier should be activated with city-approved public art, whether permanent or temporary, could be funded with sponsorships that could be noted within the artwork. City-owned light poles with the old blue and white lights need to be fixed immediately. Front of Corbin Building needs to be cleaned up while we wait for a tenant to begin renovation. Windows are cloudy, need a graphic or mural over them. Stubby chopped up fence looks ridiculous. Florida Power and Light, AT&T as a partner. FPL needs to be pulled in as a partner in the appearance of the redevelopment area. There is no excuse for old poles taking years to remove.
Hallelujah.
Electrical boxes with graffiti and stickers need to be surveyed regularly and addressed immediately. Dangling obsolete wires, AT&T cables, of course, need to be cleaned up everywhere, and they are everywhere.
Yes.
Main Street and A1A storefronts. This is majority of private property now.
Right.
Establish enforceable standards for appearance of storefront windows. The Land Development Code, Section 6.14, Section G, I assume that's Chapter 4 and 5, addresses show windows. Suggested changes to that section. Open, active businesses, Exhibit A. The view of the merchandise in retail show windows of shall give an unobstructed view into the interior of the store at all times. We need to have a view. And the last and final page, B, the merchandise displayed in any show windows shall be maintained with an uncluttered appearance. Any items displayed, words or images that are sexual in nature or deemed for a mature audience can only be displayed at a minimum height of 6 feet from the level of the sidewalk outside, or placed back at a minimum of 4 feet from the window glass facing the street. So that's internal recommendation, that it is at least 4 feet in height, but away from the front of the windows, the front windows that face the glass,
Well, the idea
face
was
the street.
6 foot high so that kids walking by won't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And people still get their First Amendment. They can put
Right.
whatever kind of trash they want up that high, or 4 foot back.
4 foot back from the front window,
Might
or
be an option.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happens when they walk in the store?
Then they walk in the store. But we're just talking about the
Yeah,
view
that's
from the
private.
street.
Yeah.
The family-friendly atmosphere on the street.
Yes.
On the street, okay.
Yeah,
From the sidewalk.
because we already have some of that now in
Just
one or
an
two
idea
areas.
that
Yeah.
might be enforceable, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Fluorescent or other painted signage on the window itself must be limited to 20% of the total surface of any particular window. Owners of stores facing Main Street or North Atlantic Avenue within the CRA that have no active BTR license, or stores that are going to be closed for a period of more than 30 days must apply a perforated window graphic with a decorated design to the inside of their storefront windows to block the view into the vacant store. That tickles me, because we have so many meetings about, businesses that don't have a BTR that are in the community. Yes, sir.
You know, they were talking about mostly the stores down on Main Street where they block off the windows during the year, and then the 3 weeks
Right.
they have them open. And so they, I think that it should be a fast ordinance to make sure that none of the windows are blocked off anyway, unless it's going to be merchandise.
Yeah.
You mean blocked off? What do you mean blocked? I was suggesting like a
Wallpapered up is
Yeah.
what it's saying.
Yeah, not wallpaper.
You have to.
Well, you know what I mean, papered up.
No, listen.
So you want them completely clear
The,
to where people
the
can see
police have a policy
Oh, yeah.
that you can't block off the window without them being able to
See it, right.
visualize inside the city. or
hold up.
inside
Even
the
if it's an
store.
unoccupied.
Doesn't make any,
Oh,
no,
okay. I didn't
if
know
it's
that.
unoccupied or whatever, it has to be viewed in.
Right, correct.
Okay. Well, in the LDC, I think it says the view inside has to be broom swept, uncluttered,
Mhm.
clean looking. We don't have that. So,
Mhm.
cross that off and put,
And I think just about almost 2 years ago, we did a sweep on Main Street. We got a lot of complaints, but because they were, the storefront windows were cluttered, but they were not meeting the code. And so we got some cooperation too as well.
Over on Seabreeze, I just had a store 305 Seabreeze that was blacked out totally.
Mm.
I just took all of the paint off of it and cleaned the store inside, and they are totally vacant, nothing in it.
so like, for example, Mr. Guest's building, or the Guest, it had 3 big windows up front that were all white.
Can't have
It can't have it.
No.
Well, we do, so.
You're not
Yeah.
supposed to have that.
Okay.
Not supposed to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the plywood too as well. We just passed the ordinance on no plywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be easier for them to have the perforated graphics if they're gonna keep whatever they're gonna keep inside.
Correct.
As long as they can see inside.
Yeah.
Outside,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the next column is on transportation, a free trolley to transport visitors and locals between the Ocean Center, Main Street, Ocean Avenue, A1A, over to B Street and back across the Main Street Bridge. Enforce illegal parking on the beach side and beautification of Main Street and make them active businesses all year round. So those are the issues that was given to us prior to the meeting. But I do, Mr. Chairman, want to take a few minutes and just ask everyone, are there other items that we should list before you do your DOT system? We can add more now if you would like to. If there is a request by anyone that something you didn't see that you think is a priority, we can list it now. You can write it down and put it on your sheet. Everyone will put it on a sheet, and you can use one of your dots to as a priority issue for you.
What about the native plants? Is that something that should be on there, the use of native
It
plants that we
doesn't have to be on there unless you want to make it a priority.
So
No.
Okay.
It's a different kind.
I think that the redevelopment grants that we're doing are great, but I do think it needs to be a priority to make them more accessible to everyone in town, because I have had people come to me having trouble finding how to access it, people that don't know about it. I mean, for instance, in here, we also have under parking, working with the county to open the Main Street and Harvey Beach access, which I think is a great idea, because right now we have people at the end of ISB. No one can get to their business at the end of ISB.
Okay.
And I know some of them are closing until they're done with all the road work. I don't know that they know about the grants that we have, or if there's a way that our grants could help them with their rent. Because right now, I know we have one that's going to be closed until January, February, until construction is done. And we're just going to lose all the businesses over there.
Okay.
Same thing that happened on Orange Avenue. I mean, what's the good in redoing our road and our ramps? When it reopens, there's nothing there.
Yeah. There have been some communities in the past where you had that correlation between the county and the city and the CRA working together when they know they got a project working like this.
Or if
and
we
you're
can
gonna
have
close.
something to offer them
Yeah,
while
you
we're doing all of
create a fund so that you can help some of these small businesses through that process.
Right. I know we
So
have
it's-
rent
it's
subsidy.
been
on
done
each.
before.
Yeah.
You know, I think everything on
Okay.
this list is significant. I mean, I don't think there are any stinkeroos on here. The question is, are you interested in doing a priority list? And the priority list isn't just the most important ones, it's that, but it's the ones that are doable. Because many of these deal with the county and coordination with the property owners, and, you know, some of them are pure city ones. It could be done, start tomorrow, because it's all under your umbrella of authority.
Right.
So maybe the staff could look at, based on the dots, the priorities. And if there's a top priority for a majority of us that doesn't make it because of the dots, then I think we might want to amend.
Well, Gary, that's why you have the dots, because we want this to be the advisory board's priorities and not staff priorities.
Yeah.
Put a priority on your dot.
Yeah.
You need to utilize your dots. We're gonna go to Gary, then we're gonna go over here. Gary was, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, the funding for the program comes from the CRA,
Yes, sir.
right? How much money is in there?
Right now, we got $250,000, or is it $500,000? $500,000.
And once that's used up, what happens after that?
Yeah.
We reappropriate more.
Next year, you have another half.
From?
The CRA, yes.
CRA.
Yes.
Sunshines soon, isn't that?
No, we sunshine in 36.
30, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but we had to start somewhere.
No.
And we started at $500,000.
Yeah.
We hope we get to $1 million in the year.
Yeah.
But let me also say this: if we spend $500,000 before December, we'll go back to commission and ask for more.
And you'll get it. And we'll
Yeah.
get it.
The reason.
Because we do have
was
more.
To make sure that this is ongoing, because.
Yeah, but we didn't want to stick a
Yeah.
arbitrary number out there.
Yeah. I think before you came on board, the Beachside Redevelopment, they did a study 10, 12 years ago
Yes, we did.
about the exact same thing. And then they looked at, sometimes I think we get a little too confused and too overworked up on stuff, and we try to reinvent stuff.
Okay.
But all we have to do is really look at what other more successful cities are doing.
Right.
And Hollywood,
Right.
I think Hollywood was one of the more successful ones, and they've got an ongoing program like this that has been going on for a very long time.
Yep.
And they contribute quite a bit to
Right.
businesses that are.
I can't
Right.
think of a better use of redevelopment dollars than
Yes.
these
Number
things.
pro
business as a kid.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job.
Well, Helen and Vernon.
Okay, I was at the city commission the other night when this was brought up by the mayor and the commissioners. You have to understand one thing with the CRA, they have obligations that are ongoing all the time.
Yeah.
We are a city with 5 CRAs, which is unheard of for a city of this size, but that's neither here nor there. And some of them are getting ready to be out. And once they're out, you can't reestablish them. Very difficult. So I think what you've presented tonight are the main things that the commission asked you to put in. I think you've done an excellent job. Myself, I prioritize my dots.
Okay,
And
good.
when I run out of dots, I put double stars on them.
Okay, good.
But I think this is helpful. I think that this would be something that you could put together
Yeah.
and prevent, and bring it before the commission and maybe get some attention to some of these items.
Absolutely.
For good.
That's the intent. Although some of these items may be, like I say, redundant, someone else may have listed them. But we're going to show you where they correlate. But I also want this to be an exercise where you can see where like minds may have some of the same priorities. But there will be cases where your priorities may not be a goal of the CRA, but it doesn't mean that somewhere in the city it should be taken care of.
Correct.
So somewhere in the city, everything that you basically listed, some department in the city is responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Public Works.
Somebody is going to take care of it.
Yes, thank
Yeah, so Ms. Ellen and Amy.
Well, he said what I felt, and I just wanted to say, this is tremendously helpful.
Good,
And
good.
I'm just very happy.
Good. Thank you.
I'd like to go back to what Chairman Ellis was talking about, the businesses on ISB. It's a slight diversion, but it could really, this is tying in. How many businesses are there?
That I'm aware
Five.
of right now that are affected, I think it's around 5.
Five businesses? If we had $50,000 to, as, you know, $25,000, you know, as a grant to the businesses on ISB to help with rent or difficulty during this time, is that something that we can do right here? Like make a
Well,
motion
you can recommend
to recommend
to the city, to cities.
that for those, you know, businesses that are affected by the ramp closures that can't get customers there anymore, can apply for something?
Or any in the future too, you know,
Well,
anything in the
we're
future.
talking about
It
right
just has
now,
to
like
be in the
this week.
CRA.
Now and in the
Like this
Go ahead,
week.
Angela.
The businesses on ISB that are affected, they are Main Street CRA.
Yes.
And we already have a grant that is called lease subsidy
Right.
that we pay up to $1,500 a month, up to 3 months.
100 a month, yeah.
Okay.
So they can apply. And one of the business owner there has already applied for our grant. So they are aware that we have those programs.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's great that one of them already has. Maybe we just need to get the information to the other ones too.
Right.
That's, if
Can
there's any
also-
other way they can get in on the other grant, I don't know.
How many are the responsibility of somebody else like FP&L? I mean, the polls are certainly not up to the city, any department of the city.
Right.
They have to be done by FP and other, you know, I think those need to be identified because that's a little pressure in the telephone call.
That would be that would be Public Works. We would lean on Public Works to make that connection.
Yeah.
Just to
Yes.
put comments in.
Go ahead, Gary.
That's kind of a big issue right now that I was kind of dealing with on A1A, because spoke to Dave in Public Works, and he said, well, FPL has 12 months to actually remedy some of these situations. I said, 12 months? If I call up as a resident or a business owner, which I do all the time, even when it's not in my neighborhood, and I'm like, hey, can you guys fix this light? It's been out for 6 months.
Right.
And they have to fix it, I think, within 45 days. Why is it a year when the city has to go to FPL to have them remedy situations like that? I counted 30 lights between Seabreeze and the Ormond line that are out, that have been out for over a year.
Yeah.
And when you get toward Bel Air Plaza, it's like really dark down that way.
Yeah.
It's almost, someone from FPL actually told me, he's like, if you want to get the ball rolling, there's a particular safety standard that they have to abide to.
Correct.
And they have to speed it up, you know, when it becomes a safety issue. I'm like, it's very dark. I mean, it's kind of a little inundating for a tourist to actually try to walk on the other side of the street there. So that's definitely.
But that's how you get it done. I mean, we tell people, take pictures of the pole that has the number on it.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's how you do it. Take a picture of that pole that has the number on it.
All right, I have one thing. On South Peninsula, as you turn to go on the Orange Avenue Bridge, there is a pole in the middle of the sidewalk, and there is no way. There's a man that walks with his seeing eye dog. He has to step into South Peninsula to go across the street because he cannot walk in the sidewalk. The pole is right in the middle. There's no way.
It's at the intersection.
So he has to walk in.
Yeah, it's at the intersection, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I will take a picture of that.
Yeah.
I was walking my dog under a pole that I've been watching, you know, it's already a pole I've complained about, but a cable box literally fell off the pole and came down. I thought it was a transformer coming down. I look up and this huge thing's coming down and it stopped about 5 feet above my head because the cable
Holding
was
it.
still on there. And it was swinging away. I got a video of it swinging and it like scared the hell out of me, right?
Yeah.
So I called non-emergency. Somebody came and tucked it up back in there, but it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
we're like entering third world situation here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Noted. Noted.
oh, and then there was one other thing. You asked for other things. This was an idea some of us were talking about the other day. How would it be if people wanted to paint a house or a building, even if they wanted to do it themselves, without a contractor? Because painting is not something that necessarily requires skilled labor, and they apply for a paint reimbursement. And they paint their house, and then they say, okay, here, come out, code, whoever, look at the house, how do you like it? Looks good. I spent $500 on 2 giant 5-gallon buckets of paint, and we can reimburse them. Is there something simple we can do like that?
We don't have a paint reimbursement program, but we have a paint program where you have to get, if you're in a redevelopment area, you have to get approval from us to paint the paint colors. Right.
Yes.
Um,
That's a little different, and
the only
block grant requires. a
right.
contract.
The only thing is about that you have to create some criteria.
Right. Right.
For a paint program. Code enforcement. One of the things that they want to do is if they found someone who has some code violations such as chip paint or something that's happened to the exterior of the building, as opposed to taking them to code enforcement, they want to have the ability where they can utilize some of our CRA funds to do something
I've
similar to
heard
what you're
about
talking
that. They
about.
give 'em
That
like a Home Depot
yeah,
card or
but it's not for everybody. It is if you have a violation, a potential violation that has been identified by your code officer, you will have some type of voucher that you can go to one of the hardware stores and buy paint.
But then the painting has to get done.
The painting has to get done.
Anyway, that was
Yeah.
an idea that I had.
I mean, these are ideas that, if there's a priority, it could be implemented, but of course you got to create the program.
With code enforcement, they have it's a code if you have peeling paint, your soffit or the fascia's coming off, that they will help you get that.
Oh, that's.
That's what he's talking
But
about.
not repainting your house just because you want to
Yeah.
change color.
Yeah, it has to be a violation, a potential, a potential violation. Yeah.
The next thing, on the stores that I've had somewhat experience, I redid Orange Avenue through Orlando, did the re-streets and everything. You can require DOT to have a minimum of at least 1 entrance to any store. You can require that. You don't have to ask them. Because they can't shut down a business. I noticed the one business that's wired up.
Yeah.
But I think that,
How do we do that?
well, you just go to, the city goes to DOT and says
Right.
But
that you
then-
have to, no, wait a minute, there's just not any other way, and you can require them to do it regardless of what they say.
Uh,
Is that something we can look
Like an
into?
entrance, like a driving into the driveway?
They have the whole store wired off.
Yeah, they have everything closed off.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless, they can stop you from going in the parking.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because that, you're repouring concrete and everything, and you can do that. But that's up to the city.
Now, help me, was that for access to the business, doing roadway construction, or
Absolutely.
is that what we're saying? Okay. So one of those businesses, I think it was in the newspaper, you still have access, the customers still have access to the business. It's just that
No parking.
no parking, right?
No
Yeah.
parking and access one way. is
See, the
they have to
parking's
open
a
the other
different
way.
issue. They just
That is a
have to
different
have access to it.
Yeah, so it's not the access is been cut off, it's just no
But they can
parking.
park down there anyways.
Ken,
Right.
we've had constant problems dealing with code people in the historic districts who have design standards and colors that the houses can be painted, to the point where the city told our neighborhood watch group, which is Seabreeze University, that they were just going to let people paint their houses any color they want, because they didn't feel that the city should be asking them to repaint the house according to the standards. Standards, as a matter of fact, Ms. Hansi was at the Historic Preservation Advisory Board meeting when they didn't even know there were standards. The board was making decisions on items in this zone without realizing the city had a book, a guidebook to do it. So I think maybe city coordination would be good too. One of the things I said in here was that being proactive, but also with other departments in the city to really make it work
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well,
Anyone else?
Yeah, mine's just really simple. I'm very pleased with this. It's well presented by the staff, and I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate the staff.
A lot of work.
And the most important thing that,
I'm on there. I'm on here now. The most important thing that I really think on this thing is the staff playing a productive role, proactive role.
Right.
With divisions within the city to remedy obvious problems. The thing is that not because you all are in front of me right now, I've lived here for a long time. and the staff deserves the credit. I believe probably in the past 20 plus years, this is the best staff we've had in the city.
Yeah.
So, kudos, great job, Angela, great job, Ken. It's just all of you. To me, that's the most important. The illegal parking on Grandview, I think immediately when I had said something, started giving tickets so at least people could I could get out of my driveway. So I really feel happy. I think this is the best the city's been since I've lived here over 25 years. Now, that's about it. I'm just happy.
Okay, thank you. Right?
No?
Good?
I'm happy with this.
Okay. So we're going to come back as staff and at our next meeting, and we're going to articulate to you the results of the prioritized list. But what we also will do for those items that are not directly involved in the redevelopment plan itself, because everything that we do has to be part of the redevelopment plan. And really, there's like 5 goals that you have to take all this information and correlate it to what the redevelopment plan says. Now, but what we're going to do is the ones that don't correlate to the goals of the redevelopment plan, we're going to create a strategy where we're going to connect them to a particular department or entity.
Correct.
So that what you've given us is not just in vain.
Correct.
It will go somewhere. It will be attached to some entity, some department. And throughout our course of activities, we'll have updates from those particular departments, because there's a priority of the Beachside Redevelopment Board. Maybe it's not in the redevelopment plan, maybe it's not a goal of the redevelopment plan, but it's a goal of the Redevelopment Advisory Board so that we have a better quality of life. And so that's what we understand with this list. The list is really about the quality of life. And it may not be in the redevelopment plan, but it may be somewhere that departments in the city need to be responsible for.
Most of them are actually in one of the plans
Yeah,
we've done.
yeah, they are. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Angela. All right. Okay.
Again, please remember to put your names on the sheets.
Are we to turn them in tonight?
I believe that's what staff would like.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to study it. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, why not?
It's Mr. Chair, I mean, for the ones who did it tonight, we'll take them. But if you want to hand them in maybe the next couple days, that's
Yeah.
fine too.
I want to talk with the other people in my store.
Okay.
My son and his wife. I love
Okay, that'd be fine.
Yeah, good.
And the staff has, I think, at least for me, and I'm sure my colleagues, full authority to batch them, the ones that look very similar, except for a word or two. I think they can go together because they're probably, I was trying to follow you, Ken, there are probably 5 areas, 5 areas that just about everything 5 hats that you could toss
Yeah.
things in. And out of the 5, 2 are currently achievable by the city. one by FP&L. You know, so 3 of the 5
Yeah.
are not that hard to do if it's a full city effort. Everybody works together, I think. You could have some real serious progress.
All right. Let's see.
What else do we have?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. What else do we have here? Do we have a PDF?
The last item is the recommendations from the Beachside Redevelopment Committee that met back in whatever year that was. It's the pamphlet that's at the end of the agenda. Yeah. That was produced by, I think it was meetings that went on for about a year, wasn't it? And this is the one that we've talked about kind of, it's got a lot of information and it's not something we're going to go through line by line tonight, I hope. But
Is this a private group, different neighborhoods?
no, the Beachside Redevelopment Committee, does it show in here who was on it?
Yes.
It does. It was Tony Grippa, Rodney Cruz, Derek Henry, Dave Lamott, Kent Sharples, Paul Zimmerman, Charles Lichtigman, Harry Jennings, Aaron Delgado, John Albright, Chris Bowler, Miriam Giabi, Troy Kent, and Frank Molnar. And they met over at the, I think it was at the Ocean Center in a meeting room, once a month for, I feel like it was like a year,
Well,
year and a half.
Who authorized this committee?
The county, the
The
city
coun-
and the
oh, the
county.
county.
It was a county thing. Look at
Okay.
it. It's in your
Okay.
agenda there.
On the agenda.
Yeah,
And they produced, they had meetings, they talked, they had speakers, they had, it was I went to almost every one of these meetings. And then they produced this document. And
where is it?
It's in
It's in your packet, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
On last meeting, while we were talking about the priority list, it was brought to our attention that this document was produced. And that it was a very good idea that you all take a look at this document so we can know what the recommendations were. That this committee was tasked to develop ideas for improved the beachside redevelopment areas. So that's why I included it in your packet, so we don't have to discuss it now. It's just for your information in
Right.
case you think that it's a good idea that we can implement now in our priority list, we can do so.
Right.
A lot of them are similar.
Exactly.
A lot of it is very
Yes,
similar.
yes,
That's what
yes.
confused me there.
Yes, it's landscape, crosswalk, road improvement, how we look. It's basically the same. I just wanted to include it because you said, you
Yes, it was
show
brought up at the
interest.
meeting. Yeah. Thank you, Angela.
Okay.
Have any comments on this, or does everybody want to? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing we've been discussing. We'll move.
Well, but it's very important because this group is the follow-up group for the board that was taken over by the county that ran the redevelopment area for a number of years. I don't know if any of you were here. Helen was.
No, I didn't.
The county just, decided we in the city couldn't handle redevelopment and had a board, an independent board. I'm trying to think of who was on it. And they met for, I believe, 2 years. And then the city met with them and discussed having a city advisory, move the city advisory board back. But this is a very serious, I think, document they did for the county council. And of course, they authorize redevelopment areas. They have a big stake in our success or our failure. And so I'm going to look at it very carefully. I didn't realize why it was in there. I apologize.
All right. Ready for public comment on that? We have a few. John Nicholson, come on up. I think we've already addressed most of the stuff.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grand Avenue. Yeah, at City Commission meeting, Derek Pietro kind of gave me going over for suggesting this, because you know how to get this. So, yeah, I do, but the public doesn't. The public doesn't know this. How many of you have seen this list before today?
What list are you talking about?
The one that you just
Oh,
did,
that-
that list, and discussed it, all right? I don't think you guys ever discussed it, all right?
We
just now,
Why, no, but he's had it, he says, oh, you all knew it. And I'm like, no, they don't.
No.
And the public doesn't know it.
This was all.
Wait, stop.
From last.
Stop. This is what I spoke to Derek Fiecher about.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to get my time, So there are other things here. The Florida Power and Light poles cannot be taken down. The problem with that is Florida Power and Light owns the poles, but they don't own the wires. And unless AT&T moves their wires, that pole will stay up there indefinitely. Tallahassee ruled several years ago that we now no longer have control over the poles on our property. Although we give them permission to use our property, we have no more control over it. So we really, unless we gripe and complain, nothing's going to be done. So you have to gripe and complain. It's nothing the city can do. Secondly, you only have like less than 13 years left on the CRA for Beachside. All right? So the last time we discussed using the funding, which is called TIP funding, the city screwed it up. We were supposed to have 2 brand new hotels, actually 4 hotels, on the vacant property on South Ocean Avenue. All right? There was 2 hotels came in. They didn't want TIP funds. They were going to do it on their own. Well, you saw the price of everything go up, and then the city wanted 40 feet of their property for free, and then the city wanted them to match the boardwalk at their expense. So this was too much for them, so they wanted TIP funds, $3 million. The city said, okay, after haggling. Then they said the price of everything went through the roof. If you remember several years ago, you just couldn't keep up with it. Everything was going through the roof. They went up to $8 million. The city said yes. They went to sign the documents, and the city said no. We said yes to the $8 million, but we're taking it back. We're only going to give you $3 million. So the 2 hotels by the boardwalk were canceled, which then the guy at the end from Uruguay canceled his building. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot all the time. We've stopped 9 buildings in our CRA. We almost stopped the 10th one on Silver Beach. It barely got passed. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot. With regard to city property and county property, we have control over it. And almost all of our city and county property is not in the best standard. It really isn't. All right? You go to Seabreeze Park, Snebley, you go to the boardwalk, you go to Breakers Park, you go to Orr Street Park. No matter where you go, our properties are the pits. Peabody is not well taken care of. I just went to the property that the city owns in the middle of the marina. They stashed all their garbage, chairs, tables, broken down equipment on the backside where everybody walks to get to the boat. It's all sitting there visible. So we are not containing our own. So I'm asking you to put this as a high priority. All city and county property in the CRA, because we have control over it. We have the money for it. Fix it up to the maximum. If you want to see something really bad, we're getting a new Marriott Renaissance. They're doing the landscaping now. Walk to the county bathroom next to it.
I know.
It is the pits.
It's a mess.
And we're talking, this is going to be a 4-star, which is right next to another 4-star, which is down the street from another 4-star. And that bathroom, it looks like 1950s. It really is bad. So I'm asking you to not just us, but all of our property and all of the county properties, because they're renovating the properties on the beach as we speak. They're tearing down 3 or 4 of the bathrooms to replace them. I don't ask them to tear it down, but just gut it and make it modern. It is really the pits. And lastly, you have hidden money. I know they don't call it that way, and Paul Reed goes bananas whenever I say it, but there's been money in your facility for years that we don't know about. Was it Midtown CRA when they wanted to redo Orange Avenue? Jim Chisholm says, oh yeah, we're going to take that $1 million that you have in your CRA towards redoing Orange Avenue, and they go, what million? They had no idea. For years, you've had money that the city's put aside for future development, but they never told you what it is. So it's hard for you to balance things if you don't know what it is. Now, from what I understand, you got $6 million in funding from the the CRA. You owe $2.4 million, if I understand it correctly, for the loans that you took out for the buildings that we backed, which gives you approximately $4 million. That's not chump change. You owe probably about $1 million. It's kind of a dishonest way that Jim Chisholm changed things around. So that you paid for things you shouldn't have. So you have $3 million that you can encourage, can't tell them, you can encourage the city commission, because at a meeting 2 months ago, they decided to put interest on Beachside, finally, after 20 years. So if they're going to think about Beachside, put your 2 cents worth in when you can. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, moving on. Jenny, did you want to speak on that or public comment?
Public comment.
Public comment? Well, we're moving on to public comment anyway, because that's where we are.
Okay, that's fine.
Come on up, Jenny.
Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey. Thank you for the list of the various priorities and things. That's excellent. I would like to add to the thing about lighting. I want us to add in environmentally responsible lighting, which helps direct the light downward so it does a better job of what its job is, of safety and illuminating the road. But then it also guards against light pollution. And I have sometimes sent these little short videos from the International Dark Skies Association about places, cities that have really good lighting, but it's directed in such a manner that like star tourism is possible, astronomy tourism. Like there's places, there's HOAs where you could see the Milky Way. And so I'll send you, I probably haven't sent you all those little videos, so I'll send you all some of those. It's really interesting, having to do with the color temperature of the light. So like amber, going more toward the amber is better, it's more gentle, but it's still effective. And then things like a cone shape that directs it down. So that would be good for us to ponder. Wouldn't it be cool? Astronomy tourism. Maybe we'll see the Milky Way.
They actually changed all the lighting in Jackie Robinson Stadium recently because I complained, not because of me, but I was one of the complaints to the CEO because I live right across the road.
You live right across, yeah.
And it's if you don't put shades on your window, it's right there. And these new poles have wonderful shades. I mean, it's directing right on the
Good,
road.
that's great. We have an example right in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Randall Phillips?
Good evening, everybody. Randall Phillips, 1505 Crescent Ridge Road. I'm also the owner of 612 and 614 East International Speedway. I come to you tonight because I was just maybe advised to come to you guys. I was on this board 5 years ago, I think, 2 consecutive terms. I've talked to Ms. Armstrong before. I'm one of those ignorant business owners that had no idea about these grant programs. I'm also being hurt very badly about the construction, but what I'm actually talking to you about is the fact that I'm about to apply for these loans. I've got a second inspection coming through just to see how much it was going to be. I've got code enforcement issues that stemmed from 2010. I've got the EPA from Florida from taking out gas tanks in my parking lot, saying I cannot do anything. I can't even pull permits on that property. That's where a lot of the code enforcement issues came from. So thusly, I was, I guess, found in violation. I think this is a huge miscommunication between me and the code enforcement board. I guess violations were building up, unbeknownst to me. Just recently, they have tried to put a lien on the property. I believe the lien is on both 612 and 614. We are currently in a court case right now. I think March was our first date. We're on back to our second one. I had an investor that was going to come in last year. We were in the News Journal. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It was going to be a beautiful project. My main investor had a heart attack and a stroke. So So he is hospitalized and unfortunately had to back out. And on top of that, my father has also had health issues for almost a year now. He's finally gotten out of the hospital, and that's been a mainstream for me. But what I was trying to do is just to see, like I said, I've talked to Ms. Armstrong about it, and she also said she was going to approach the city council. I didn't know you were on board. I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot coming and you were on this board. I was just trying to see if maybe you guys can put an ear or maybe advise me to see how I can talk to the city council, maybe seeing if they can alleviate that lien on both sides of my property, which were $20,000 a piece. And so I can go forward and actually doing work on my property. Like I said, I'm a lifelong resident here. I've been here for 48 years of my life. I've owned that business for 24 years. I recently purchased the property, the main property, 612, I paid off in about 2010. And during the middle of COVID is when I paid off the property joining next door. And that was a nightmare. All the money I had saved was just taking out the gas tanks. Buyer beware. Now, like I said, I'm a first-time business owner. And when I took over that property, I had the greatest aspirations of making it a great community and a spot. It already is right now. You drive by, you don't look at it. I beseech everybody that's on this board, please come by and look at my business. Come inside and if you can find parking, come in and take a look. You'll see it. It's a very community-driven, music, arts. Ultimately, I wanted to expand towards the east and open up a kitchen and have it available for everyone to come in and actually have a restaurant, sit-down, family-friendly environment. But like I said, I'm coming to you guys tonight to see if what the correct steps would be for me to contact city council, go there myself. But like I said, I was on this board. I know coming to you guys first would probably be the better thing, and seeing how we can go forth with this.
Okay.
So
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
If
I was
I
about
may,
to ask you.
And I know our assistant city attorney might
advise,
want to elaborate as well, but it's the Irish Pub.
Yes, sir.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Next to Subway there.
Yes.
And so right now, he wouldn't be eligible for any of our grants because of the code violations.
Because of the
Yes.
code violations.
Yeah, so those things have to be remedied before we could entertain any application.
Like I said, I've been here for 48 years, and I've owned that property. And well, I haven't owned it. I've operated it for 22 years, and my dad owned it from 86 to 92. So we're not going anywhere. I'm not going to like turn around and sell the place and look you guys make the fool. I legitimately am trying my best. I'm doing it all by myself now that my dad's got a lot of health issues. But I any help I could get, just so pointing in the right direction, seeing what I can. Like I said, I was on this board, and we used to have a portal that you can go to that was a part of the website where you can see the grants and loans that are available. I had it bookmarked. I went to it, and it is gone. So like I said, the only reason why I knew about this is one of another Main Street merchant showed me a pamphlet, which my picture of my building was on it, about dilapidated buildings and applying for these grants. And I'm like, well, my building is right there. I didn't have no clue about it. So if it wasn't for this other merchant, I would not have known about it at all whatsoever.
Right.
So like I said, is there any step that you guys could advise me? Like I said, I did not realize Ms. Armstrong was on this board. It makes sense now that I see her here. But like I said, I'm in a debacle, and anything you guys can advise me, please. I'm stuck. So
I don't know. I don't know what we can do if there's nothing. There's nothing we can do. I don't think, Randy.
yeah, or at least bringing it to the county, or not the county, the
I mean,
city.
it can.
Yeah,
We
bringing
can
it to
at
their
least
attention.
be brought to their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the fines are imposed at a magistrate meeting, is that already?
I was not even at a meeting. I already have a lawyer involved. He's trying to say there was no due process. There was no letter sent to me. I guess the whole reason why I could not do a lot of these repairs is because of the property being under the EPA and there was ground monitoring leveling. I couldn't do anything. They had the property locked.
Let me ask you about that. That's like a brownfield thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Doesn't the state have funding to amend, to fix brownfield?
I tried. Right now, I'm currently locked. They are still.
Okay, all right, because I feel like they used to have money to clean up.
They do.
You're going to elaborate on it, Will?
I could if you want me to.
Let me say again, Mr. Chair, his attorney, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Your
Mr.
legal
Andrews.
counsel has been in touch with our legal counsel.
Correct.
And
Like
so there's conversation.
yeah. It's,
So at this point, I think that's what we have to leave.
Like I said, I just coming across because one of my friends has said, "Why don't you approach the board?" And that's why I kind of here. I'm like, that's kind of a good idea to see if I can get some good direction. And like I said, I've already talked to the city lawyer, and they said that if I can get the stuff that's on the violations fixed, then they'd be able to, come to the city council and get the liens taken away. I've already tried to apply for loans, construction loans, anything, and I've been denied every time because of the liens. So that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, I had an investor. He was willing to put all the work into it. As a family friend, I've known him since before I was born. It was one of my dad's friends, and him having a heart attack and a stroke. He had to back out.
We'll follow up with code enforcement to see where if the violation has been remedied.
Right.
No,
I don't know.
No, the violations. Well, I mean, the stuff that I could do, like the weeds, trash, graffiti, painting. I'm pretty much out there. You can ask Will. He's walked by and sees me. If there's something wrong that I can physically do with my own two hands, painting, broken windows, weeds. With this construction, they've torn up a heck of a lot more of my parking lot, which was always an issue. But like I said, with the EPA down there in the state, they have ground wells of like every 5 feet on that property, and I cannot touch it. I can't put concrete over. Yeah.
What are the construction costs? What do you?
So far, the one estimate I got is about $42,000, and that was just on the violations. That is not even the concrete right now. The concrete is something that I'm going across the state. What little 2 holes that were drawn out from the gas tanks had a little bit of asphalt millings and dirt on top. And now that the construction crews come through, they have parked gigantic excavators and it destroyed what was little of that parking lot. So that's another project that my lawyer is talking to about the contractors to see if they can remedy the destruction they've done in my parking lot. Yeah.
It's time. Yeah.
No, it's
I
okay.
think we'll keep an eye on this.
Yeah,
We'll,
like I said,
we'll
I'll keep
come
it
back to
just
it.
to
If there's
bring it up to
anything
you
we
guys'
can do to
attention, but-
urge them to look at this, I would hate for us to lose another business on our beach side. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. What else do we have here? Ann Ruby, come on up.
Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. So what you guys did here tonight, setting priorities, is great. And the city commission, in their last CRA meeting, decided that they would have maybe, I don't know if they decided quarterly or semi-annually, that they were going to have regular CRA meetings where they discussed things that weren't, because usually they just rubber stamp something, move on. And there's really no discussion. And that's not how a CRA should be functioning. That's my opinion. So they did agree to start having, I think, quarterly meetings that we're going to start at 4:30 or something, where they're going to actually discuss what's going on in the CRAs. So I would think that if Midtown and Downtown could do lists similar to this, and then you guys can compile it and bring that forward for discussion, that might be a great idea. You know how I like to make work for other people. But I just think that would be a helpful way for you guys to have some input. And I would hope at least if those other 2 boards don't want to or don't have the opportunity to, at least hopefully this could be on the agenda.
You're reading our minds. We're going there. We're going to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ann. John Nicholson?
Real quickly, so if you don't understand it, ask me. One, what do you want Main Street to look like? What do you want Beachside to look like? What do you want the boardwalk to look like? What do you want A1A to look like? All of these speak volumes, not only for those of us that live here, those of us that have our businesses here, but also the tourist. They want an attractive location. They don't want to come to a dump, all right? And there are a lot of people, if they come, they don't like it, they don't come back. For years, we had people coming back year after year after year, staying at the same hotel year after, everybody knew everybody. That's not the case anymore. So we have to change to meet the standards. So I'm asking you to find out what you wanted these things to look like, what you wanted it to be. Secondly, grants, I would ask you to mail out grants. We have addresses to all of our businesses in the CRA, so they can't say, I never got it, I don't know about it, because they don't. Nobody ever watches these meetings. If you were a businessman, how many of you would watch these meetings. Well, because you're interested, but most don't. All right? Secondly, I'm asking that A1A, that landscaping, we're almost finished with ISB. It's supposed to go to A1A next. What they've envisioned is not what you guys want. I'm telling you, those bollards at all the intersections, 120 bollards, having people walk into the street because they have to get around them. These are going to be bad things. Taking away all the plants in the middle of the road because they want to curve the road. They want to raise the intersection so that you rise up and down. There are a lot of things that they want to do that as a tourist town we may not want to do. Third, camera positioning on Seabreeze. They had a bunch of pictures of what they were showing. For 6 months, I walked every Friday and Saturday for 5 hours to see what the problem was before we roll back to 3 o'clock. The 3 worst locations where the shootings were are not covered by the cameras. That to me doesn't make sense. If that's where your problems are, you really should have a camera where the problem is. But we don't. So we may want to look at that. Apartments. I was just at the downtown CRA. They were talking about a new apartment going in on Ridgewood. All right. So they have the one on Beach Street. They have the one on Ridgewood. We're getting apartments way up the street. What is it? Derbyshire or whatever it's called. But 300 apartments. We need much more than that. But on Main Street, there used to be apartments upstairs. Is there some way we could help renovate those locations so we can get bodies on the street? Because if they're living there, they will come downstairs, they will hit the shops below them and hopefully the beach and A1A and Boardwalk, et cetera, et cetera. But we need bodies in the CRA area. Delta, which was Delta West, which was on the meeting, has property off of Main Street. Can we have a little asking of what you plan to do with the Delta property between Main Street and Ocean Avenue? Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, we're on to board comments. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to add? I have one thing. So one thing that I didn't see in all of this that has a little bit of a, I wouldn't say it's a concern, just a comment of mine. I would like to find a way, if we have any way, to eliminate some of the red tape for businesses in the area. Because I think some of our issue as a city has always been, we make things a little bit too prohibitive for businesses to open and sometimes even to stay open, like with the gentleman we just had in front of us. I mean, I think if a business is making a concerted effort to make those changes, why should we lose that business in our town? Especially if it's a well-established one that's been here that does well. It'd be a shame to lose that. And the same thing with our zoning. I don't know if there's a way for us to look at it, but some of our zoning seems like it was made up to stop businesses from opening. So we have RDB1, RDB2, across from RDB3, across from RDB4, and they all have different spot zonings that require people to come in for a planned development and spend exorbitant amounts that they could spend on opening their business on that. So I wonder if there's a way for us to take a look at that plan, maybe relax some of it so we can see what the market actually decides instead of telling people not to open before they ever open.
And Mr. Chair, I like to take small bites. Also, are we speaking of Main Street right now only?
Main Street and ISB, Main Street and ISB, our main two corridors right there on the beach side, I think.
And we're talking about buildings fronting ISB and fronting Main Street.
Correct.
Having
And, I mean, A1A as well, probably,
Well,
for that little area, but.
and having the ability to be able to open up with not a lot of.
Not as much red tape, because I think historically, I know from a lot of business owners I've talked to about coming, legitimate concern. I've tried to get people to come down to that area, and people say, oh, well, I tried 15 years ago for 10 months, and I just couldn't get through the city process. And I think as a city, we're at a different point now, where we're trying to encourage people a lot more than we were, say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 7 years ago.
They're in redevelopment areas.
And they're in redevelopment areas, and we have the funds. So, I mean, if there's a way for us to make that language less prohibitive,
Well, I have a good thing to add. Young lady over there should be first. Go ahead first.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, what is the progress on the sign so people would know? I have so many people that come in, they just wander from the Hilton, and they go, I can't believe you're here. I had no idea. I started walking, and there were so many empty stores. I had no idea you were here.
Kiosk.
Yeah, the
I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, it's not the be all, but I think the kiosk would help with that.
Yeah, I wondered-
Identifying what businesses are on Main, on A1A,
Yeah.
on ISB, in close proximity. Yeah.
I just wondered what the progress was on the one that,
Signage
On
has
the
been a
digital
big
one or
thing
on
for
the-
this.
whatever.
Right, signage was, there were about 5 of us who had signage things.
Well, can I?
But I can, Ms. Humphrey, I can say that about 4 of the department heads have been, we've been doing our research on who's got kiosks throughout the state of Florida, the cities. So the last couple of weeks, I probably had 4 teams meeting where we've had meetings with other cities and trying to determine how did they go about getting their kiosks, because these are cities that already have them, and what was the cost of it, and you know how they're using it. So we're in that process, and we're gonna dump it off to purchasing to put it out to bid.
Do we have any RFPs out there?
Oh yes, plenty of them. We got several of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and
so-
that was part of our due diligence with talking to these other cities that already have them.
Well, and the one thing I wanted to add is that the current staff is why I have so much respect for you, is this staff right now finds a reason to tell us yes. Years before, they found reasons to tell us no. So the old Daytona is no longer the old Daytona. This is the new Daytona. So if we can make it easier, that's great. But here's the problem with that. And now I'm a business person. I've tried to I got so much, I have acreage on East ISB on either side. I've tried to come up with a lot of things. Cities disagreed with one of those things. But you know what? Hindsight looking back, there's a reason for that. Because it's not just about what I want. It's really what the city needs and what I want. And the biggest thing with myself personally taken out of this equation is that what I've learned is to try to do something that will benefit the city. So that's why I look to the staff and the zoning restrictions to try to guide me in that. Now, maybe we can tweak them different ways.
I mean, I agree, but we're looking at zoning standards that were set in the early 90s, and if they were going to work, they would have worked by now, in my own opinion.
Well, they're
That's
going to.
just my opinion.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and this is previous to this staff getting here. The past city manager, my property on 326 South Grandview, excuse me, sorry. My property on 326 South Grandview, the middle of my property was accidentally changed to residential. Right. I couldn't occupy my building for over 3 years. I had to go to the new city manager and the gentleman, the young lady across the street, they straightened it up for me. Right. So, and I'm not just doing this because I like you guys. You're doing your job. You know what I mean? So to say that, I can't say it's difficult. I feel so comfortable, almost in tears, all the stuff you've done. You know what I'm saying? Very polite, and I agree with you, though, that we can make things easier, but we also got to be careful, because if you get, years ago, I wasn't the nicest guy. I ran strip clubs. I don't know.
Got to be careful.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, not everything is good for business on Beachside, and we have to kind of,
within reason.
And I trust them to guide me that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Angela. Anybody else? Nope. All right. Meeting adjourned.